It all happened in 5 seconds. Excuse me. Sure. Yeah, but that, yeah.
Just a minute, before
okay.
you go. So, is he ready for the stage for this week?
Yes.
Or seminar first? He's now sitting here
I don't care. He's disrupting the whole fucking thing. Mm-hmm. Everybody's afraid of him. He threatened to throw the guy off the fucking stairs this morning. Okay. There's no way. He's gone.
That's fine. I'm just trying to work out where we're going to do it.
Well, I'll put him in jail. I don't care.
No, I just put him in jail. But, right, okay. So you are not willing to...
He's gone.
Anyway,
none. Zero. Okay. Truth is stranger than fiction. Musk put up his last $150 million or $50 million when he got his money for, what did he sell?
PayPal.
PayPal, excuse me, thank you. 3 times I've had to do that. The last time we had an 82 million pound bond offering, debentures. Not one bond was sold. And it was a 3-week offering, but not one fucking dollar. We got down to the short strokes, and 182 million pounds at that time was about 140 million bucks. So, and when you pull an offering, it's death. You pull an offering, I mean, you just forget about it. You got to go back and it'll take you years. So I bought the offering myself, 100% of it. And in those days, you had 21 days to pay. So I'm scurrying around trying to free up assets and come up with cash, and it's not like I'll give you 80 million now and 60 million later. I mean, it's not one of those deals, you got to pay. Or it defaults, and then you lose your credit rating in addition to your own reputation. And so 3 days left to go, I get a phone call, and somebody said, I see that whole bond offering is taken up. I really like some of that in my ears. And he says, in fact, I'll take it all. I believed in God that day. And so we sold it to him. I made on a $140 million investment, I made $3,000 after all of the T's were crossed and I's were dotted. And but then we took that it was 3,000 pounds, and we took that 3,000 pounds and we went out and got fucked up drunk and enjoyed ourselves. And but when you have no plan B, as some of you don't, you've got to make it happen. You got to make it happen. Last night, you saw me. What did you see last night? The movie?
So we saw Think and Grow Rich.
Let's stop right there. What are the takeaways in Think and Grow Rich? I mean, the book's been around forever and ever. I would say, and there's a slide coming up, don't think and grow rich, because I believe, even though I agree with 98% of everything that's in that book, it promotes procrastination, and which you already suffer from. You don't need any more of that. So I would name it, don't think and grow rich. Okay, now comments.
I think there was a lot of people commenting that were so-called experts, but they've never done anything. So it sort of discredited the whole film for me.
Well, I mean, that's the industry, the personal development industry. There's a lot of guys and gals out there, none of which, I won't say that now. When I started 25 years ago, none of which had made any money. Now, a few people have made some money. But they've become wealthy off their personal development business. They haven't gotten wealthy off enacting financial management or financial engineering. There's a big difference. As I used to say 25 years ago when I beat my chest, these guys have made money putting asses in seminar seats, selling DVDs, and now all these other things, and not in building businesses. When I go to the universities and I say, the business schools, I say, how many classes have you had in buying a business? Nobody raises their hand. How many classes have you had in selling a business? Nobody raises their hand. How many classes have you bought in leadership? Nobody raises their hand. With rare exception. At the Air Force Academy and the military academies, they have classes in leadership. And then I say, how can you call this a school of business? There's two fundamentals, buying and selling, you've never had a class in. And leadership, once you buy something, you need leadership to run it. And now I've shamed, there's a book up here now that about 3 or 4 years ago, Wharton started a class in selling a business, selling an IT business. So now maybe 8 or 10 schools across the country have classes in buying and selling. But virtually hardly any schools outside the United States have any classes whatsoever in buying and selling a business. Okay, back to thinking real rich. What else?
Whatever your mind can see and can achieve, so it's always like thinking about your goals and create them through your subconscious mind. Make sure that it's following your dreams, persistence. It's all the same stories from all of the videos, all the key things, like I say, they're successful clues, so it's just re-emphasising a lot of the stuff that you've taught. When
I first read Think and Grow Rich in 1972, I think, I underlined it, and then I didn't read it again until I believe in the early 80s, and I had the same copy of the underlined, and I went back and it was interesting what I underlined in 72 as opposed to what I underlined in 82. And then when I read it again in about 2003, 4, the things that I underlined the first time, I said, how come I didn't understand that the first time? I mean, that's so simple. Most of the stuff that I underlined the second time is just a slam dunk. And so because I had grown and matured, not just because, you know, the frontal lobe of the male brain isn't finished maturing or growing until you're 26, 27, or 28, the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe of the female brain is mature way before that. And so when even though I was pretty successful in my mid-20s, mostly by design, some by serendipity, but most of my success was because I was around successful people. I didn't understand you are who you hang around with. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I didn't know that concept, but I know now, looking back, a lot of these guys I was not hanging with, but I mean I was exposing myself to their business principles, like Bunker Hunt, who was part of the billionaire Hunt brothers. It was quite interesting. Anything else? Okay. No. He knows who I mean. Let's go. Good morning. Good morning.
What appeals to you to get this?
He's a psycho.
Okay. Any reason for that from this talk?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Did you get on this?
No, I want him out.
You want him out?
I want him out. He can fill out a report. He threatened him last night, or this morning, I guess, to throw him off the staircase, to take his phone away. I took the phone back from him because he filmed some of the antics he was going through last night. And I don't have time for this shit. I told him, slipping notes under our door in the middle of the night, pounding on the door last night at 1 o'clock in the morning, our bedroom door. I don't need this shit. He knows that. I told him 5 times. No, only the last 2 times to leave. I told him 3 times before, I'm not going to take this shit. So
I am here. Can I explain myself? Well,
you can't.
You're going to him. Okay, when you win a statement.
Mentee?
He's not a mentee. That's bullshit.
No, I am. You know that.
Let's go.
Medal, I'm gonna be the president.
Where were we? Think and Grow Rich. Any other comments? Yeah, up until 7 years ago, Babe Ruth led. He hadn't played baseball in 60, 70 years. Up until 6 or 7 years ago, he led in strikeouts still, even though he hadn't played baseball in 60, 70 years. But they don't think of him as the strikeout king, do they? They think of him as the great Bambino, you know, home run hitter, da-da-da-da. And the very thing that concerns you about what other people will think, subconsciously at least, and more probably on a conscious level, keeps you from trying. What's your mother going to say? What's your wife going to say? What's your girlfriend going to say? Etc., etc. And for whatever reason, when we get down to specifics, some of the other things I've already told you how I was raised. But one of the things I was thinking about when I was thinking about you, Pedro, I had an email from one of my cousins. La familia! I mean, I get one a year. Is that I wasn't raised as a Latino. I mean, I didn't get any of the Latino heritage or any of that stuff. And my parents didn't speak Spanish at home. And my dad spoke 3 foreign languages, Japanese, French, and Spanish, and English. My mother spoke 3 foreign languages, and they only spoke English. Because at that time, in the 40s, 50s, racism, if you will, was pretty fucking blatant. And I know people complain about it now, and there still is. But, I mean, it was blatant, and my mother, especially, didn't want me to go through that. What else about Think and Grow Rich, if anything?
There were 13 principles, but I think what you said was most important. You get caught up in really delving into all of them. Like for me personally, I grew up with a learning disability, ADD, and I learned differently. And
I thought you were just retarded. No.
That too, yeah. But I thought
I don't want a bunch of fucking emails. He's not retarded. Okay, go ahead.
Mastermind principle for me was the most valuable thing while I was developing my real estate company. And I think you can pick out 1 or 2 of the principles and really just run with them to tremendous success. But if you just get caught up and you have someone said on the video you have to have all 13 to make it work, I don't think that's quite true.
No, it isn't true. And everything, the movie's certainly far from perfect. And the book's far from perfect, pretty close. But the good thing about the book is the book has stood the test of time. I mean, I've stood the test of time for 25 years, but the real test is 100 years from now. when little minions are running around still doing QLA. And QLA works with high interest rates. It just works perfectly with low interest rates, okay? But now, I'm sure that some 15, 20 years from now, when interest rates are back high again, somebody's gonna pick out something I said about low interest rates, and they're not gonna follow QLA because Dan said it worked perfectly with low interest rates. Well, interest rates aren't low anymore, so I'm not gonna even try it. For those of you that do your research, it works with high interest rates, because that's when I did it. It just works better with low interest rates. But almost any financial model works better with low interest rates. Anything else?
3 feet from gold.
Pardon?
3 feet from gold.
Yeah.
And just not quitting.
Yeah.
Basically how like after he sold that gold mine, now he realized, wow, I'm never going to quit doing anything, and he became one of the top producers as an insurance salesman. That really stuck out to me, and also the story of the partner of Edison, how he went there with burning desire, and he just made it happen by just staying focused and being around.
You know who was a junior partner of Edison? Henry Ford. Henry Ford was an engineer to Tom Edison. On his spare time, he's working on this car thing. And Edison and the senior managers would say, forget that car thing, you got a future here. The future is you know, Edison and Company. And he finally left, gotten around to making a car. He had already been making cars in his garage or wherever he was making it, in his barn or whatever. But those guys in that time frame and these guys in this time frame, the idea 30, 40 years ago was to go to Silicon Valley to rub elbows with the techie giants. Well, now there's more than Silicon Valley. There's maybe 8 or 10 or 12 places around the world that have that same kind of ambiance, genius, so to speak. And it's not just techie. What was the other thing you saw? Did you see something else?
We saw video advice, just like random clips of like inspirational quotes, different movies. And then
Okay.
we saw like a trailer with you and Brian Rose for 2 minutes.
Brian QLA Rose, which I told you I'm going to be interviewed again on the 20th of this month. Well, I mean, I rest my case. Brian has had a transformation that is pretty fucking remarkable over 4 years. And I told him when I first met him, as I tell you guys, I will change your life. Some of you, I will change it 500%, 5,000%. Some of you, I'll only change it 20%, but I will change your life. There's no question about that. And even if you only follow the principles a minimal amount of time, your life's changed. I was just reading a couple of other testimonials from my 25th anniversary. A guy that just came here from South Africa. By your standards, and most things wealthy already. But he said that I couldn't believe how some of you were talking about having higher aspirations, higher goals, how I realized that how little I've accomplished on the worldwide basis. Remember, I used to be compared to just Latinos, and then when I opened up my mind to being compared with everybody, my growth took off, and I really had geometric success, or what I coined later on, quantum leap success. And somebody on the YouTube asked me, since my 25th anniversary, how did I come up with QLA? The name. And I've said this before, but I went to a J. Abraham seminar. I paid $5,000. I went to everybody's seminars for about 15 months to see what the competition was, or the lack thereof. And there was a room about, 500 people, and he passes the mic. Every other person gets a mic and says, my name's Rufus Doofus. I'm here because of such and such. I'm from such and such. Yeah, okay. So the mic went to an old lady next to me. And I took the mic away from the old lady, just like I took it away from the kid in Florida. I stood up and I said, my name's Dan Pena, and I am the father of QLA, Quantum Leap Advantage. And I'm going to change what is now called personal development to high performance financial coaching. And then later on that day, Jay said, would you like the podium? I kept the podium for 7 hours, nonstop, fielding questions from the kids. How did I come up with QLA? That night, I had watched a program called Quantum Leap. It used to be on television, where this person used to jump from different time frames. And so I just said, Quantum Leap, that's what we're going to do, because I know how to do that financially. And it's got to be an advantage, and it's going to be an advantage. And, it's got, like you're making them an offer they can't refuse. And that's where I came up with QLA. But it all happened in 5 seconds. Excuse me. Sure.
Okay, so
Yeah, but yeah.
just wait a minute before
Okay.
you go. So is he registered to stay here for this week?
Yes.
Or the seminar to go? He's now saying that he has nowhere else to go.
Well,
nowhere else to
I don't care.
go.
He's disrupting the whole fucking thing. Everybody's afraid of him. He threatened to throw the guy off the fucking stairs this morning.
Okay.
There's no way. He's gone.
That's fine. I'm just trying to work out where we're going to do.
Well, I'll put him in jail. I don't care.
Well, I just put him in jail. But, right, okay, so you are not willing to...
He's gone.
Anyway,
None. Zero. Okay. Truth is stranger than fiction. It is. The short of it is, I'm just misunderstood. But anyway, sounds like when I first bailed out my first son out of jail. Okay, Where was I? Oh, okay, and that's how I came up with it. Now you're going to do spreadsheets, and you're going to send me names of the business that you want to. It doesn't matter. You can call yourself, I jerk off every morning. It doesn't fucking matter. That's what you don't understand. It doesn't matter. We've got guys that have names of companies, Chinese symbols. They're not even Chinese companies that say bad words in Chinese, and that's the name of their company. Now, I'm told that that says Quantum Leap in Chinese up there, but I don't know if it is or not. It may say up yours. I have no idea. But you will spend a lot of time on nothing. And when I say asked, answered, it's because I answered it multiple times. But you will still ask questions that I've answered. Now, the reason I don't let you talk to each other is contrary to what you think, you do not share best practices. You only share horror stories. Dan never told me it was this fucking hard. Is it hard for you? I mean, and that's not the message we once sent. So if I find out you talk to each other, you link fuck each other, you tweet fuck, you face fuck, you're out. No second chance. You're out. On that happy note, thank you, YouTube.